I totally accept your point, which is going into coalition's a controversial thing, and you know the polls aren't as good as they used to be. But without being sort of too pious about this, I actually think the things we've done, sort out the economy, give people tax cuts, provide more apprenticeships, do the right thing in our schools and nurseries and so on, is the kind of thing, is a kind of legacy of which I'm very proud.
I think the students would say you'd blown it.
Yeah, well, look on the issue of tuition fees, which you'll clip quite rightly. I mean, look, I was between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, but you made a promise.
Well, look,
and the trouble with politicians is that when we lead up this tight funnel into an election, you guys make all sorts of promises, which really we see time and time again. You don't keep them.
Well, look, of course I accept, always taken it on the chin. I never have to. I lead a party with 8% of MPs in the House of Commons. I didn't win the last general election. I wish I did. I wish I was Prime Minister. So by definition, the Liberal Democrats could not put all of our manifesto, fully in practice.
But that was a big one.
Well, if you look at the stuff that we put on the front page of our manifesto, on your well-thumbed copy of the Liberal Democrat manifesto in 2010, what you'll find there was our commitment to raise the point at which you start paying income tax. We actually said up to £10,000. We've done it up to £10,600. £2.5 billion of extra money through something called the pupil premium into schools to help with the education of disadvantaged kids, that we'd straighten out the economy and push for political reform. We actually stuck very, very doggedly, and I think quite courageously, to the things that we said on the front page of our manifesto are the things that we would die in a ditch for.
Tony Pierce from the NUS said students queued to vote for the Lib Dems in 2010 on the sole basis of this pledge. It wasn't a minor misdemeanour, it was an outright lie. We have an obligation to hold them to account for this, and we will.
Well, look, in a democracy, if you don't win a majority, if you don't have the mandate from the British people to implement your manifesto in full, then one thing inevitably happens, and I've never hidden this: you compromise, there's give and take. Thankfully, actually, there were a bunch of things that the Conservatives wanted to put in practice that I stopped them doing, which I think would have been bad for Britain. And look, there are some people, I accept this, there are some people who say every compromise is a betrayal. And I'm sure there are some people, it's a free country, who can never forgive and forget that we couldn't put that into practice. There are lots of other fair-minded folk who actually, I think, recognise that by being as resilient as we have been, sticking with it for 5 years, we've helped create this economic recovery and many other things besides. Many other policies which wouldn't have happened without Liberal Democrats in government. And then at the end of the day, people need to make their own judgment.